Welcome, Panther Nation, to this Liberty Lady Panthers softball playoff recap. I'm Joe Roberts, and I'm here with Ross Norwood, the play-by-play man for the Liberty Lady Panthers on the Liberty Panther Sports Network. Man, that's a mouthful. We're going to recap the last 2 weekends of playoff softball, and we're going to try and do it in under 10 minutes. Ross, welcome.
Thank you, Joe. It's good to be here.
Oh, it's always nice when we get together and we can talk shop and softball. These last 2 weekends have been certainly magical, not only defensively but offensively for the Liberty Lady Panthers. Coming out of that playoff seeding tournament and then jumping right into the playoffs, those bats have been electric.
They have. They sent 67 batters to the plate in the 2 games against Navasota last weekend. They scored 32 runs. They had 40 hits. They had 3 long balls, 1 inside the park home run, and that adds up to 13 extra base hits for the Lady Panthers in 2 games. And they only had 9 innings that they got to come put batters up, because they were the home team in game 2 and they didn't bat in the 5th inning.
Right, so they really starting with that second inning of game number 1, because in that first inning against Navasota, it looked like we were about to have some sort of defensive battle.
And it all kind of started out of the blue, and the fact that they were able to just keep going, keep playing add-on, which is always important when you're in a series or a game in general, because you can score a couple of runs here, but if you can just keep putting them on, it really makes it harder for teams to come back.
All right, Ross, let's talk about how they scored those runs. We mentioned this multiple times during the broadcasts, that when there are 2 outs, the Lady Panthers become super dangerous.
And that is, again, another great thing about this team, that ability to get into situations where you have 2 outs and then all of a sudden you're batting around and you put up 4 runs or you put up 6 runs or something like that, as I like to say, a crooked number. In any inning you can do that. You're giving yourself an excellent opportunity to win.
Well, Ross, not only did it seem like everyone in the lineup 1 through 9 was having a day, there were a couple people for me in particular that stood out. And let's talk about both of those, and then I'll give you a chance to talk about your standouts. And they might be the same ones, at least offensively. Bailey Slack.
Bailey had a great series. She was 6 for 8. She scored 6 runs, and she drove in 3 runs.
And she was the one that hit the inside the park home run.
That is correct. And, it started out, and that's where the speed of this Lady Panther team comes into play, because in ordinary situations, if you don't have that speed, that may be a triple and in some cases a double, and they're running hard out of the box, and they get rewarded for it when they get to put up some extra runs because of that.
All right, Ross, my other special player that has really stepped their game up, and this young lady was one that we had talked about off air that hadn't really been having a bunch of success at the plate at the end of district, but once that playoff seeding tournament started, has been just, and I've said it before, electric, on fire. Alex Wiley, her bat has been big.
She has really, something happened in that playoff seeding series, or not series, but the 2 games,
right, yeah.
Tournament, if you will, against Huffman, first Huffman and then Hampshire Finette. She stayed that way. She was 6 for 7 in the series. She drove in 8 runs. She scored 4, and she had a home run.
And I think they're still trying to fix the damage on the scoreboard where she hit that long ball. Was that her? Yeah, she hit the one. Reagan hit the 2 long balls. So that one that Alex hit, I mean, it was going to be out. It was going to keep on going.
That was one, and sometimes in our viewers will notice, sometimes I get tricked on these home runs, as I did on that first one that Reagan hit on Saturday. But Alex's, there was no doubt. You knew it off the bat that thing was gone.
All right, Ross, I've mentioned my 2 standouts. Is there anybody else for the the Lady Panther offense that stood out to you?
Well, I would say Holly Thomas and Reese Evans is there, as well as Camden Chandler. But looking at the numbers they put up in this series against Navasota, it's hard to pick a couple. You look at Reese Evans, she was 5 for 7. She scored 5 runs and she walked. Had 1 walk. You look at Kylie Bishop, she was 5 for 8 with 4 RBIs, which is amazing. Reagan Williamson had another good series, and she's one towards the end of the season that really started clicking at the plate. She had shown some power early on, but kind of starting with that playoff seeding, those 2 playoff seeding games, and continuing this series, she was 4 for 6. She had 4 RBIs and 6 runs scored, and she had the 2 home runs in Saturday's game. The first one that tricked me, the second one was also a no-doubter.
Right, and she had several other at-bats where she hit some really long foul balls that probably could have gone out as well.
And, she was able to, and it shows the talent she has. She hit these foul balls that were just BBs, and that in these at-bats, she was able to then figure it out. She was ahead on those foul balls in the at-bat in her first home run, and she was able to slow that bat down a little bit, and she had that home run.
Oh, we got a bell. Okay, so let's talk about one other storyline. Holly Thomas, the big storyline, back in the lineup.
She got 2 at-bats in the Vider series, but she played and started in both games against Navasota, which was great to see. And there was some question, how much would that time off affect her at the plate? And in this series, not at all. 5 for 7. She had 5 RBIs and a run driven in. And I mean, these are video game numbers they're putting up, which is so much fun to watch.
Okay, Ross, we've talked offense. Let's switch gears defensively before we get into the pitcher circle, which we'll kind of end up on. Kylie Bishop, third base. She was another one that we had some questions about. I think she's put to bed any questions that we had about whether she could make the throw, whether she was going to be a great fit there. She has just really been phenomenal at third base.
I think as the season's gone on, and last season not playing third base, that was Jalen, just that repetition, and we've seen that offensive or defensive performance just improve almost game to game. She had some barehanded, fielded a couple of balls barehanded while charging, throwing on the run. She had some long throws from behind third base. She just was phenomenal in the field.
And my other defensive standout, and again, all of them have played great, but Reese Evans at second has just made some really great plays to stop any sort of rally or any sort of offensive whatever that the teams have tried against the Lady Panthers.
That does not surprise me. Reese was at shortstop for the Lady Panthers last year on that state championship team. She showed amazing range, and taking a shortstop, putting her at second base. I mean, there's not a lot of players or a lot of teams in the state that have a second baseman that is as talented and rangy as Reese.
Right. Okay, Ross. Now let's.
I want to say
go
2
ahead.
other players on that infield. Reagan Williamson has been great.
No doubt.
Making some plays on balls, getting her foot down on the bag when she's had to jump up, scooping balls that have come in on throws that were in the dirt, and that has really helped. And then one other question, after Kendall was knocked out for the rest of the year, Brianna Pantalion stepped in, and we saw early there were some communication issues between she and Reese, which is to have been expected. But I think in those two seeding games, since those two seeding games, and they got that repetition, they've really synced. And now you have somebody at shortstop that's got phenomenal range, and that's just such a big boost for the pitchers, Lady Panther pitchers, knowing that defense behind them. And of course the outfield defense has been great all year as well.
It's tough when you're looking for a hole, and not to sound like a homer or anything, but you don't see a hole in the Lady Panther defense right now, and that's a good thing. All right, now let's end up with the greatness that has been in the pitcher circle.
Well, Camden Chandler had another good series. She not only at the plate but in the circle. 6 innings pitched, she gave up only 1 run. She struck out 6 and walked 1 in the 2 games that she pitched in. And then another freshman stepping into the circle. She got 4 innings pitched. That's Brooklyn Taylor. She gave up a run and 3 hits. She struck out 6 and walked 2 in those 4 innings of work. And when you do that, you really give your offense a little breathing room, and they, I think, were able to really settle in at the plate. And it's kind of a cause and effect. The offense putting up those runs gives the pitching some breathing room. They can make some mistakes and know that, okay, we can count on the offense to pick us up. And of course the offense didn't have any problems in this series, but the pitching, giving up only 2 runs in 2 games.
All right, Camden Chandler getting it done at the plate and getting it done in the pitching circle. Panther Nation, this has been a Lady Panther playoff recap. Coming up, the Lady Panthers in the regional quarterfinals against Bridge City, and we are there, and we'll bring you all the coverage.